name is iWafflez, and tonight I'm going to be looking at two figures from the Medicos JoJo's Bizarre Adventure line, and those two are Giorno Giovanna and Gold Experience. The whole point is that Giorno is the user and Gold Experience is the stand, but they are sold separately, so I don't think most people don't buy them together. But side of the package, you see Giorno, you see Gold Experience. The back, you see all their accessories, which we'll take a look at. And then side of the package again, on the top says their names and all that. And then on the bottom just says their names. Alright, so the box is out of the way. Let's actually look at the figures themselves. Alright, looking at these two figures, you can clearly see there is a size difference, being the stand user is way smaller than the actual stand itself. But I think for most figures in this line, the stands will be bigger than the users for the most part. We'll take a look at Giorno first, saying that he is the user, and he was the first one I bought. Giorno is really nice. It's really nice detail. I mean, the sculpt work is amazing. It's absolutely stellar. And for a figure this small, I'm surprised that even his eyes are painted perfectly. I mean, the way they're painted, there's no imperfections right there. The only imperfection is on the lip, but even then that's really hard to notice. I don't even think it shows up on the camera. And it also has the shiny look. I don't know what fabric it's supposed to replicate, but it looks really nice, and it's not painted, it's not molded in that, it's actually painted on. As you can see, there's like silver to mimic a reflection, and this of course is not the exact anime colors, but the pink suit is anime color inspired. Well, it is anime color-esque, but the only thing is the ladybugs and the wings on his collar are, and the eyes of course are not the correct colors, but I'm fine with it because I honestly think the gold wouldn't look that good. It would kind of blend in with the pink, the shiny pink, so I'm glad they went with a more standout color. This figure is really nice to look at, and he has, of course, the black checker pattern on the back of his jacket. And I didn't notice that he had the heart zipper right there. That's a really nice detail. But with gripes, like most Medicos figures, you're going to find frozen joints or even loose joints. With Giorno, these arms tend to be a little bit loose, but they don't just flop around. Doesn't take a lot of force to move them, so just be aware of that on Giorno. And then this thigh swivel right here, it doesn't want to move by itself. It will move by itself, but I don't like forcing it because I don't want to break it. But this side will work completely fine. It's alright. And then of course every Medicos figure has a loose toe joint to a degree, but this one doesn't really have that bad of one, a loose toe joint like Joseph, so I'm really happy with that. The only thing is that his head is a little bit loose whenever you pop the heads off multiple times. It's just a little bit wobbly, but it doesn't wobble whenever you shake the figure or anything. So yeah, well, that's it for the detail. We'll go over articulation for both in a couple of minutes. Let's actually look at Gold Experience now, with I think is the nicest coloring. He's showing up a little bit darker for the colors, for the cream color, but it's a little bit lighter whenever you actually have it in hand. The gold is pretty much spot on. There is a little spray painted like dark gold to make it, reflective, make it look like it's shining, but it looks really nice. I mean, there's not much that's already been said about these, but the absolute incredible work that Medicos does on these figures, it's just really nice. Now, gripe wise, was it this leg? Yeah, it was this leg. This leg could not move its thigh swivel when I first opened it, so I had to hold this and twist, and it worked, but don't do that. I just got lucky and it didn't break my figure, so I was really fortunate. And also, this ball joint right here, it will not rotate. I've heated it up, it won't rotate, so I'm not going to try and force it to rotate, because it is a tiny figure. I mean, it's a really tiny figure. Well, it's not a tiny figure, but the joints are really tiny. That's really the only gripe besides, a loose toe joint right here. and the other one's fine for the most part. But yeah, that's really like the detail and paint work for each of the figures. So yeah, let's get to articulation. Alright, we're gonna look at accessories before articulation, and we'll start with Giorno and his first accessory, which is probably one of the most tiny accessories I've seen, is this little pin. Now, it's not the same exact size as, well, actually, no, it's not the same as the ones on the figure, but it is supposed to be whenever he uses it to heal himself, or for whenever he gives to Bucciarati, but it's a really tiny piece, so beware. That is in package, and it's loose, so you might want to be really cautious when opening Giorno. For other accessories, he comes with this little cup and plate, and it has a Bacchio's specialty in there, which is a dark yellow. Not gonna say what it is, but it's not tea, that's for sure. And then we have a piece of bread and lighter from the Black Sabbath arc. The lighter is actually really sculpted really well. Like, for how tiny it is, the detail is actually, like, amazing. Like, it has pretty much everything to make a lighter work, but of course they don't move, but it looks really nice. And then they have this piece of bread, because whenever he's trying to keep the flame lit, he sticks it in there to make sure whenever he's at his dorm that it doesn't blow out or fall over. So it sticks in there pretty snugly, and he also comes with a hand to hold the lighter. So we'll get rid of this piece of bread, and then here's the hand for it, and it just, fits right in there. So it's a really nice grip, so it won't come out. Pretty nice grip. And then to hold the coffee mug, he has this hand, which has a little knot right there, and you just put it in between his fingers, and it will hold. But for some reason it's not like the most secure grip, so you'll have to find like certain angles to get it to hold. So, and then for specialty hands, he has these hands to make his iconic pose, and of course the iconic pose will be this right here on his chest, and then he's pulling at his shirt down here. If I can, you'll see it in pictures, but that's pretty much it. And then of course he comes with the fists, and then just two relaxed hands, because he doesn't really do a lot of fighting himself. He relies more on gold experience, which of course gold experience comes with two fists as well. I think fists come with every single Jojo figure. He comes with two different pointing hands for his left side, one more loose fitting and the other just like, I'm about to beat you up, fool. I mean, they're really nicely painted too. The purple ladybugs are painted all correct on every single hand, which I couldn't imagine doing, or even a machine doing. But they come with more gestural hands. Oh, if I don't drop these hands everywhere. There they are. There's the hands if I don't drop them again. But there's one for each side. They're not the same. One's going more in and one's going splayed out. And he has two, like, aiming, like, about to punch you, like, aiming hands, I guess. These are really also really nicely painted as well. Once again, they're not the same. And then we have these two cupping hands, which are used for Giorno and Gold Experience's iconic pose, which I'll show you in pictures. They're really nice. I mean, all these with Joseph, some of the hands were really hard to put on, but with these figures, they just slip on. And then Giorno and Gold Experience come with screaming faces, both equally painted as good as the base faces, which are really nice. And that really does it for accessories. Let's get to articulation on both of them, and then size comparisons and final verdict. Also, I forgot to mention, each Jojo figure does come with a JoJo's Bizarre Adventure stand, and these are segmented, so you can remove them, and you can add another stand. And so Giorno and his stand can be on the same stand. It's a lot of stand in one sentence, but I just wanted to point that out, just so you know it is a feature, and you have to put them together. So just a heads up. Alright, starting with articulation for Giorno, his head is on a ball joint at the top. It's less noticeable than Gold Experiences, but there is a hinge up top, so he can get some good movement, but the ponytail will hinder the looking back. And he also has a ball joint at the base of the neck, which will allow a little bit more movement and a little bit more expressiveness. So I mean, it's a really nice touch. Every Medicos figure has basically the same setup for that, and I think this started on part 4 or part 3 figures, is that they have this little cuff right here to continue the shoulder sculpt, I guess. I don't know. Kind of looks tacky, but it's better than them putting it with the arm and hindering the arm articulation. But he can get a flat 90 with just the ball joint, and then whenever you have to move it forward or back, you have to move it with the cuff. He does not have a bicep swivel like Joseph, but it can rotate on the ball and right here at the forearm, so that's really nice. But I would beware because these ball joints are tiny and the connection holding it together is very small, so it won't take that much force to break it. He has a ball joint at the wrist, so he can get it to hinge in forward and back, and then also roll the dice motion, but due to the cuff sculpt, he will not get that much articulation there. Basically, he won't go back, but it will go forward. He has a diaphragm, which allows for good forward, not that, well, alright, front, alright, going forward, and then a little bit side to side. He has a waist swivel, but I wouldn't try using it that much just because the ladybug right there might, it doesn't look like it would fall off, but I wouldn't risk it. He can kick up almost 90, but due to the skirt sculpt being tighter, he can push 90. But yeah, I wouldn't leave it because the plastic will just melt. It would mold back into this place. So he has a bicep, well, not a bicep, upper thigh cut right there, double jointed knees, and a ball joint up top at the knee. So it can swivel up there, double jointed, can get in pretty good, but due to the pants sculpt, his feet articulation is pretty hindered, but he gets good side to side, like good ankle pivot, so I'm not really upset about that. But also the ball joint's a little bit oddly colored. He can't get that much forward, but a little bit back, and then of course the standard toe joint that comes on every Medicos figure. Gold experience is basically the same, but he can't even get a flat 90 with his arms because of the wing sculpt, and then he gets a lot more better up and down due to him having no ponytail or anything to hinder his head. And also the ball joint is up further on his head, so whenever you interchange his heads, be careful with that. That's pretty much it. The articulation wise, they're pretty much the same articulation wise, besides Gold Experience having way more hindered articulation in the ankle region because of the ladybugs on the sculpt, so just beware of that. So actually, let's get to size comparisons and then my final verdict for the figures. Alright, for size comparisons and height, Giorno stands just above 5.5, while Gold Experience is more at 6.25 inches, which would leave them at Giorno being about 14.5 centimeters and Gold Experience being about 15.5 centimeters. So, with size comparisons, we'll look at Joseph first, fellow Medicos figure. He is taller than both of them. That is a main gripe, but for the Medicos line being that they are between the parts, the sizes change, so interchangeability with different characters could be a factor. The Marvel Legends Endgame Captain America Quantum Suit figure still taller than both of them, which is weird. And then the only other figure that I could really compare him with is the Jazzwares Fortnite Tomato Head, which is a really good figure. I just like the Fortnite skin in general. But he is once again bigger because of that big head he has. That's really it for size comparison, so we'll get to the final verdict. That video, the summary was 5 minutes long, so I decided to do a post commentary. So basically, should you buy this figure? If you're a huge fan, yes. But if you're interested in interesting figures, this is definitely one of those figures. And you should definitely check both of them out. They're very interesting, and they would pop out on the shelf, but the price would be a problem because these things can get pretty expensive, um, and they are very delicate. So if you're a person who likes to rough around with your figures, you might want to hold off on these. But if not, you go ahead. That's was really it. And most of these pictures are reused from beginning, but I just wanted to make this post commentary thing just so you didn't have to sit through another 5 minutes of me rambling. So thank you, and I'll see you in the next video. Peace.